Hello, my name is Christie Arkovich. I'm an attorney with Arkovich Law here in Tampa, Florida. We focus on bankruptcy, student loan relief, and foreclosures and things of a financial nature. We spent a lot of time the past few years on student loan debt relief, and that involved cases that are both outside of bankruptcy, taking advantage of different opportunities out there, as well as inside of bankruptcy. Over the last couple of months, we have basically slowed down and, for the most part, not done student loan strategy sessions where we were dealing with the federal loan system because we understood that the administration change has significantly impacted the student loan environment. And we didn't know what to expect, from the Trump administration, and we still don't know what to expect. But I think we can get some indications going forward. And I have some advice that I think everyone may want to listen to. And so basically, what do we see happening right now? Well, the Trump administration had really no first day orders regarding student loan forgiveness or the IDR plans or anything of that nature. There wasn't anything that really happened last week either, other than the appointment of a new Secretary of Education, who still has to get a team together and other things. It's going to be a little while. And so I think that's important, and something that a lot of folks can hang their hat on is that student loan issues out there are not a primary focus of the administration right now. Instead, they're dealing with a lot of other things that were basically set forth in those first week executive orders. Here, we started the second week. We're midway through the week now, and we still don't see anything with student loans. I do expect that 1 week we'll probably see a lot of activity on student loans. I think that it's important that you take a look at your student loans perhaps before that now and determine what it is that you want to do. And the reason I say that is because in the last couple of years, the SAVE repayment plan, IDR, an income-driven plan called SAVE, allowed for tremendous interest rate savings as well as a very low payment. Folks were on SAVE for a short time. Those who were not on it were placed in forbearance when last summer different courts basically paused the SAVE program and in response to litigation that it was overreaching essentially. And so those court decisions have not been finalized yet. We don't know if there's going to be an executive order or whether those decisions will be processed. The Eighth Circuit is primarily in charge of that. I won't get into the history of that. I don't think that's really within the scope here of what we're doing. However, we don't expect SAVE to survive. And so back last fall, we were encouraging people to think about other opportunities for debt forgiveness. That might be the total and permanent disability plan. It might be other IDRs, such as IBR, income-based repayment. That plan has been congressionally passed and still allows for forgiveness. It's a very good plan. And importantly, if you are on another IDR, it is most likely that you will be grandfathered in case a Republican-based new IDR comes out. There's one under discussion right now. And instead of being based on time, your 20 or 25 years of credits towards an IDR, so you would be entitled to forgiveness, instead of being based on time, it's going to be based on amount paid. Specifically, the amount that you would have paid on a 10-year standard payment. That includes all the principal and interest due each and every month over 120 payments. That's a good plan in that it will eliminate the high amount of interest that may have occurred for lengthy forbearances that hasn't been addressed through the IDR audit or recount, for instance. But it may not be as good as the IBR for those who are low wage earners and making low payments under IBR. So I'd encourage you to not stick your head in the sand, but learn about the opportunities that still exist so that you can try to save as much money as you can with your federal student loan. That may be looking at the total and permanent disability program. It may be going on to a different IDR program. And I don't know if you know this, but if you'd made payments under SAVE or Repay or any of the other plans, they count for IBR as well. It's any income-driven repayment. So think of income-driven as an umbrella or a heading over all the different plans. You have IBR, you have IBR for new borrowers, Pay and Repay, SAVE, ICR, etc. And so while SAVE was something that the Biden administration was trying to push everybody into last year, essentially IBR is one that probably is your best bet, but it's good to undertake an analysis of what would be your situation under each of the plans that are available. And are you eligible for each of those plans? Will any of them shorten your time payment? Pay, for instance, if you qualify, will shorten your repayment time from 25 to 20 years. That can be very important to shave off 5 years. On the other hand, certain programs allow for you to file a married filing separate return and not have your spouse's income counted for your student loan payment. If you have to recertify your income now, then perhaps you want to think about filing an extension on your taxes here April 15th. If you don't know whether you want to file jointly or separately yet, because if you do that, it's going to be based on how you filed the last time around, and you won't be required to update that information until October 15th. So think about doing an extension if you're not quite ready for that. But I encourage you not to just keep pushing that ball down the court, essentially, because while IBR is not going anywhere, while public service loan forgiveness is not going anywhere, it may be that if you're not in one of those programs at the time that something else comes down, you may not be grandfathered into that program, and that program may no longer exist as an opportunity for debt relief for you. It may exist for others who are already in the program, but won't exist for you. So it's important to now come off of maybe the safe forbearance if you can afford to do so, and start making a plan going forward to address your student loans. It may be that you want to wait 2 years for another election to see what will happen then. It's hard to say, but you need to take the bull by the horns and figure out what you want to do there. Some other comments I wanted to make is we probably are going to see limits on new borrowing. A big part of why we got into the student loan problems have been increased costs of college, has been extended forbearances, much of which capitalized interest. And then we also had increased amounts of borrowing allowed by the federal government. We probably will see declines in that. And so it may be important that if you are a parent and you have a child that's getting ready to go to college, consider your options as to what you would do if you can't borrow quite as much money under the federal system, and things like that. There are some other things that we expect, but we don't really know. And so I'd like you to stay tuned to this YouTube channel. There's other avenues for information out there. Please keep your ear to the ground of anything that you see. When I'm talking about other sources of information, I'm not really talking about legacy media either. I'd like you to focus on other podcasts, other videos by student loan advocates. That might include Josh Cohen, might include myself, might include Student Loan Planner, might be Forbes. There's regular publications there. All these are sources of information to understand more about your student loans. And do know that there's a report that you can get on studentaid.gov that emphasizes what student loans you have. And now there's a new software that's imposed on most borrowers' accounts that will allow you to see how much credit you have towards IDR and how many months you still have remaining. That went into effect over the last month. There may be some stragglers where it's still going into effect, but for the most part, it's on there. If you haven't been on studentaid.gov recently, take a look. The IDR audit or recount was put into place for anyone who had a direct loan, whether it's consolidated with other FFEL loans, older federal loans, or other direct loans. You would sometimes get more credit for forbearances that you've had in the past, or non-economic type, or I'm sorry, economic deferments, not in-school deferments, but economic deferments. You might be pleasantly surprised if you log on and you see that you have very few months remaining. Do know that you can get forgiveness under a plan such as IBR. So please reach out and think about your options. You still have some options that exist, and I think it's important to take advantage of those. So I hope this has been helpful. Please stay tuned for more information. And if you want to reach out to our firm, we can be reached at 813-258-2808. You can also email us at info@ChristieArkovich.com. We do paid strategy sessions where we get the information regarding what your student loans are, whether they're federal, whether they're private, what they are specifically, what credits you might have already had, and so forth. And we analyze what you should do going forward. But do think about that and take action if you can. Hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you so much.